Episode 4. I have no high expectations for this, considering that it seemed like in the last two Marvel TV shows, Episode 4 is where things took a nosedive.
Seems like. I don't know where you get that idea. I mean, in the episode 4 of WandaVision, they only just completely left their entire premise and went and focused on something completely different that explained a whole bunch of stuff that we already knew.
Yeah, it's not like they just got rid of every single mystery they were building up in one episode.
Yeah, and it really just annoyed the hell out of me, and kind of the show never got me back after that.
Yep, that was definitely the first warning, and I'm going to be honest, I can't remember what happened in the episode for Winter Soldier and Falcon. I think I've just physically blocked all of that out of my mind.
Episode 4 of Winter Soldier and Falcon was definitely not the worst episode of Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Do you remember what happened?
Well, you see, the problem was that episode, if I'm not mistaken, was the episode in which the guy who plays the new Captain America, what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I know who he is.
That's where he starts to go through his entire descent into being the bad guy.
Well, wait, is it when he killed? Oh my gosh!
Yeah, all of that happened in that episode,
wow,
and we'll get to it when we actually make a recording on that one. But it just made no sense, and it went way too fast. It's like they rushed the entire arc for that guy into one episode.
So I'm expecting that in episode 4, they're going to do something that breaks down their already really shoddy world building, and it's going to fracture things even more. I think because of how they ended the third episode, that they're going to have some Deus Ex Machina near the beginning, or sometime in the middle. Probably near the beginning, since the planet is going to blow up in like 5 minutes anyway. That's going to sweep the Lokis away.
Yeah, I have no idea how else they're getting away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess the only way that they could not Deus Ex Machina is if, like, some reason Mobius figures out where they are in, like, a scene that's going on, what's going on at that point, he goes and finds them.
But even then, that's going to be a Deus Ex Machina for their story and their situation.
That one at least isn't so bad because it is explained that Mobius does exist. Mobius would be tempting to do that. That would probably be the only thing that could go on and would be storytelling acceptable. It would not be great.
It would, out of everything that could happen, that would be the most acceptable. I still think it would count as a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, but it would definitely
because the writers put them into such a situation that the only thing that could bring them out is literally the godlike TVA.
Yeah, the TVA is looking for him, which is at least set up. So I guess maybe that, but also the TVA is in such like pandemonium. I don't know what else.
I still don't know how those time bombs work, so I don't know how the TVA is in pandemonium specifically.
I don't either.
But
I have no idea what's wrong with
I know
TVA.
they were just looking at the line and going, "Oh my gosh, it's emergency 00."
I don't even know what happens when those lines go past the red line. I just know that the TVA can't fix it anymore.
Yeah.
All I really know is once they go past the red line is there's another universe that exists separate from theirs, which they don't want. But I don't see it causing immediate war, so I feel like they can fix that problem eventually.
Well, the TVA is all about being preemptive, so like whatever.
They lose their preemptive.
Another prediction, it's going to be for episode 4 and 5 and 6. Loki and Sylvie will kiss.
I hope to God not.
No, we got to get all of those ships going. You see, the beauty of the multiverse is that literally every single ship possible is true.
No.
So we're getting Loki and Loki. Next, we will be getting, Bucky and Steve.
How about no?
That's the most popular ship, man. I'm sorry.
Okay. So I'm hearing what you're saying. However, Sam's not gay, and neither.
Not in this universe.
You know what? You're right. I'm sorry. How could I? Oh wait, there aren't multiple universes. So.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, maybe they'll have an argument then. I'm just
I mean, that is how we're predicting this whole thing is going to end. It's going to be the start of the multiverse, the end of the TVA. So, you know what? I think they're leaving their options wide open.
I've never been a fan that talks about shipping. So, I'm just going to let them do what they do, alright? Whatever they want to do. But I really hope that they don't put Loki with himself. I mean, I guess
or herself.
I guess this isn't Loki. I guess that's always an option.
She changed her name, so that makes it not Loki. That's better, right?
No, I was kind of hoping that her name is Loki, but she's not related in any way to Loki.
No. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's
Jam.
definitely not true. I don't know. This episode I have low hopes for. I think, though, if for whatever reason they're able to get through this episode without a Deus Machina, that's a low ball. But if they get through it, and this episode does not go into complete crap, that the show will be really good. If they can pull that off.
And I'll say once again, I would really like to be able to give more concrete predictions as to what could happen, but everything just completely changes so rapidly. And we discovered that just because they have different writers every episode, right?
They have thus far. I don't know if they're going to have a different writer for this episode,
No,
but they definitely credit the writer differently for every episode.
We'll definitely have to check that, but that definitely helps explain why things feel so different every single time.
Yeah, episode 3 was kind of I think it didn't do a whole lot, but I don't think it was a bad thing. I just feel like...
Well, considering the a lot that the other 2 episodes did, I feel more okay with episode 3.
Well, that's true. I guess my real issue is it didn't... It only did characters for Loki, and it didn't answer any of the questions that they asked and desperately needed answered in the previous episodes, how the time bombs work.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're ever going to answer that because that's a technicality that they're having their entire story rest on.
Oh, so they can't answer it because if they did, then yeah. Alright, I guess we'll be back when we get to watching episode 4.
Yeah, we're going to see how this goes. So, it appears the curse of the 4th episode has struck yet again.
Yeah, it was bad.
You got mad at it a lot faster than I did.
Oh.
But why don't you go ahead and start off? Well, why don't you tell me about the first scene?
Okay, well, in the first scene, we are shown baby Sylvie. Well, actually, 12-year-old Sylvie. When the Time People TVA shows up and grabs her from her timeline. Which automatically is a problem because that implies that she was allowed to live as female Loki till she was 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah, and that also just brings up a huge question about variants in general. I mean, do they just get to continue on living their lives unless they cause really big waves or something? Doesn't that mean that there's multiple timelines already and it's just the ones that start to skyrocket out that the TVA prune?
I think the way that they're going for it here is that her being female on its own wasn't a big enough variance for them to notice. It was only when events changed ever so slightly, like Loki didn't get the same crush, and their actions changed slightly because of that, that causes the variant.
You see, that's still an issue, though, because when I was going in, and what they were explaining is that there's one timeline.
Yeah.
And the TVA is pruning pretty much everything that does not comply to that one timeline.
Yeah.
However, to have Sylvie be born female and grow up the way she did until she was 12 before the TVA finally strolled in, that says that there's multiple timelines within the sacred timeline that are just continuing on with slight variations between it all.
See,
and that doesn't sound like what the TVA wants either, because it's essentially just a multiverse again.
Yeah, so what I said is what I think the writers thought, but it doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, I mean, the writers put themselves in a position where this is how it had to be. There was 2 choices. One, Sylvie had to be born female, in which case the TVA were going to show up instantly and take her as a baby.
That's what they chose, but they didn't show up.
Yeah, but because they couldn't have Sylvie escape and do anything if she was a baby.
Yeah.
Second option was that Sylvie wasn't born a female, and that she got turned into a female somehow. or turned herself into a female somehow. But I feel like if that was the case, they would have made a much stronger point about that. So I definitely don't think that's the one. But that would be the one if we want to fit it neatly into how the TVA works and how they deal with variants. That would be the one that would have to do it.
Again, I feel like the way that they could have done this that would have made it a lot better, that just avoids that problem, is you get back the actress for Loki's mother, and it happens while she's pregnant. Because there's the moment when it's decided that it's a female and not a boy, and if she was the one that got away from the TVA, that would explain a lot of things, especially the fact that Sylvie clearly has not been to the TVA herself.
So what do you want? Do you want the scene to be instead Odin and her in bed, and then all of a sudden the TVA just strolls in?
No. It can be after that. But like, you know what I mean. That kind of scene, because it could have happened any amount of time after they were pregnant, but she was just pregnant, and that would also give, like, for one, we know that Loki's mother is a badass, right? But that would just make a lot of sense. That would be why Sylvie has access to TVA technology, but has not really been to the TVA all that much. It avoids this entire problem of the TVA not showing up immediately and solving the problem, because they did. And it also gives them the ability to say, you know what? Here's a really cool, strong female person that was able to get out of this area, and I really like the character of Loki's mother. I can't actually remember her name.
But I'm sorry, I can't either. Another thing that we said about Sylvie was that a possibility for her to be avoiding them for so long and to exist as a female without being pruned right off the bat was that she could have existed before the TVA was really formed.
Yeah.
Because there had to have been some point when the timekeepers were, trying to straighten out the multiverse or whatever, that there were still multiple things going on, and they obviously did something to those other multiverses.
Yeah. I agree.
That was one thing, but that's obviously not what they're going for.
I don't think they could have gone for that, because the unrealistic part of that is that would mean Sylvie was like an unrealistic amount of time old. Like even Odin died of old age at one point.
Yeah, well, I think they could have just said some timey-wimey stuff or whatever.
Yeah. They could have.
And just like, I don't know, maybe when she hopped into the portal from the TVA, it flung her far into the future or whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
that would be something they could have gotten away with. Obviously, that's not what they did.
That wasn't. Yeah, it seems like what they were going for was they wanted her to escape the TVA like that. Which again,
well, they had to.
Yeah.
Because that was what they pretty much had set up for her. That she
Yeah.
escaped the TVA and she has some of their technology and whatever.
Yeah, and I just think that the way that I just said would have been a better way to bring that about without contradicting a lot of things that we know about the TVA. Or just making the TVA completely worthless and not even able to somewhat competently do their job. Because they're just allowing a bunch of variant timelines to exist.
Yeah, so that's obviously not the point.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that, like we would keep on bringing up, the TVA is obviously incompetent.
Yeah.
Because they allowed her to get away at all, when in every other time they are more than happy to just prune everyone who just starts to ask too many questions, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, they're
everyone in that room just stared at her while Sylvie ran away, messed with the computer, opened up the door, stared at the people, stared at the door, stared at the people again, and then ran inside. Yeah,
so in case we didn't go over the scene, the one girl that goes and grabs her is actually the judge, Ravana.
Renslayer, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she grabs Sylvie, takes her to the timeline. They go up to the judging thing where a different person is doing the judging at the time, and Sylvie takes the little time travel or portal device and opens the door and walks out. But she does it very slowly, and everyone just stands there and looks at her.
Yeah. They honestly just let her escape.
Yeah.
I can't conceive of any other thing.
Yeah. There's literally like no reason.
Or again, everyone in the TVA is completely and utterly incompetent.
Which I guess they have established, but that's just not a good thing to establish for your entire villain thing. Especially to an incompetence of they can't even do their simple task. And there's okay to have them be incompetent, like, oh, maybe they're not the smartest. I mean, you can get away with that. But incompetent to just they can't even accomplish their goals is bad writing. Like, you just can't have them do that. So that was a great scene to start off with. Then we're back to Mobius, I like Mobius. He's fun.
Yeah, and I honestly thought that we were going to go the way of your prediction, that we were going to be spending a lot of time with Mobius and everyone else there, and he's going to look into it. Well, that prediction kind of got shut down pretty early because we got right back into Loki and Sylvie.
They just spent a little bit of time with Mobius, and then they went back to Loki and Sylvie, who said some words. Then they went back to Mobius, and apparently the entire timeline's fixed because they're just looking at it and they did it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised that they were able to fix that entire problem, but it was kind of just glossed over, probably because they don't have enough time in their episodes to do everything they want.
Yeah, and considering that was supposed to be like the big hammer drop at the end of an episode, and then 2 things later it's just waved away.
Yeah, we don't even see them fix the problem.
Yeah.
It just kind of just happens. And so, great job, guys. And they're like, well, I wonder where Sylvie and Loki are. And then Sylvie and Loki go, oh, we're going to die anyway. And then they're like, oh, but what if we hold hands?
And then they hold hands, and then they longingly look into each other's eyes, and then they slowly move closer. And then the TVA shows up, just yanks them out. Deus Ex Machina saves them from it for some reason.
Yeah.
Because apparently, leaving the 2 there, the power of their love would create a variant timeline in that apocalypse.
Yeah,
that was so strong that the TVA had to rush in to stop it from getting to the red line.
Yeah, their excuse here is that the TVA, or that 2 variants loving each other, that cost is enough to just cause a variant timeline to immediately go red line no matter what. That doesn't make any sense, but...
And of course, like I stated multiple times, this is the one thing I didn't want to be right about. I thought that they were just going to imply it really heavily just so they could get like people in the shipping community to just go absolutely nuts. But no, this is the path they're following. They want to ship Loki and Loki.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I
don't know why. I mean, you did not need a love story in Loki. It was not necessary.
No.
Honestly, Loki can be a fine character with everything he has going for him without any kind of love story whatsoever. Especially as narcissistic as he is, and apparently all Lokis are, a love story with himself.
Yeah, that seems so unnecessary. I don't know. Like, Mobius makes fun about his narcissism and how he falls in love with himself.
Yeah, they make it so entirely and fundamentally clear when Mobius is just sitting there berating him about essentially falling in love with himself.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, completely stupid. Like Owen Wilson kind of sells the joke, but at the same time, it's not funny because it's so stupid.
It's not funny just because of the situation.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It would be funny if this was like a comedy that had no consequences at all, and this character was just super narcissistic like that. But that's not what this show is. The show has an extended universe around it.
But
there's a lot of plot and a lot of waiting around and what's going on and how the details are going to flat out. It's not just a pure comedy.
Alright, but of course, the show isn't canon, right?
Well, I mean, it can't be canon.
No, it obviously can't be canon.
But it is. So, I don't know anymore. I can't give it any benefits of the doubt anymore because this episode is bad.
It's just...
like, really bad.
Again, mythical episode 4.
No.
Every single time it seems to just kick everyone in the nuts.
I mean, I know. I wrote down on episode 3 that episode 4 looms over everything.
Absolutely.
But I wrote that down sarcastically, like, there's no way.
Come on, you knew it was going to be
But then
true.
episode 4 comes out and it's all gone.
At this point, I honestly think that there's something in the writing room that just says, by episode 4, have big thing.
Yeah.
Because they must be terrified that everyone's just going to stop watching after episode 3.
Yeah, because that's exactly what hurt WandaVision so much, that they did that on episode 4, and they could have just waited.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would have helped a lot on WandaVision. Winter Soldier, just... why?
Yep.
and then this one is also just so much happens in this episode.
Yeah, so much happens in every episode, but it's always
except for the third one.
Yeah. The third one, they actually took their time and slowed down.
Yeah.
And
But that's
I'm mostly positive with that, but now that I realize it's all just so they can build a love story between Loki and Sylvie.
That's actually the biggest reason why I didn't like that episode.
Mm.
Because that's exactly what I was seeing. I couldn't get away from it. And now,
yes, but I was still just hoping that it was just like, oh, you see this? Yeah, you guys want this. Draw some fan art. Get crazy. Not that they were actually going to do it. I thought they were just throwing some red meat to some of the fans, but no. No.
Well, whatever. So next up on the line is they take Loki in and they separate Loki and Sylvie. Loki makes a comment about how he's not being held in a secure cell, and he gets thrown in a red door that is like a holding cell that basically just has him relive a bad moment of some girl kicking him in the balls.
Yeah, it was a Sif that was kicked him in the balls over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's just like he's supposed to realize that, he's supposed to be alone, he's an awful person, he's a narcissist, he just wants people's attention. I guess that works.
No, it was mostly just a holding cell that's a punishment for him to sit in.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any deeper meaning behind that kind of thing. It's really just played for jokes.
I don't know. They obviously took their time to say that there was a deeper meaning to it because he was starting to... Because she was saying, Sif, every time that she beat him was saying something that was emotionally charged.
Yes, she does. However, even after he reconciles and says all of those nice words, which is when Mobius comes back later, they still put him back in there, and he continuously gets kicked in the balls even after that.
Yeah.
So it's mostly just a holding cell.
I'm not arguing that the kicking in the balls repeatedly wasn't the funny part. I'm just saying there's a bit more to it than just him being in pain.
Yeah. They definitely tried to make more to the scene than that, but that's the holding cell's entire point is just to cause him pain and let him sit there.
But of course, before this holding cell is when there was that huge interview scene or interrogation scene, is a better word, between Loki and Mobius.
That happens after.
No, because the first time he gets thrown in there, he's yelling at Mobius because that the TVA is lying to him, right?
Yeah, but that happens as he's getting thrown. As Loki gets thrown into the thing, he says, the TVA is lying to you. Mobius lets him say that, and then he gets thrown in.
And of course, Loki doesn't say anything else. He just says that. He doesn't say, you're a variant. He just that. He just said it in the exact same amount of time.
Yeah. And no. He didn't say that. And then Avery, of course, while we were watching it, he's like, thank you, Darth Tyrannus, or Count Dooku. And I was like, that's kind of hilarious.
I mean, I hate it when they do that. When they're trying to get a scene where it's just like, oh my gosh, he's trying to say something, he's trying to convince you, but they don't have enough time. Yes, you do have enough time. Just stop beating around the bush and say the one important thing that you really need to say.
Yeah, it was...
For Count Dooku, it was, he's a Sith.
Yeah.
For Loki, it was, you're a variant.
I don't know.
That would be enough to, at the very least, put a shock to the system and stop what is going on. But no, we have to hold that out for
Dooku's even worse, though, because he literally just sits there and says nothing. Even though Anakin is hesitating. Anyway, that's a different story altogether. But, so, they have all that go down. Mobius then goes back and talks to Ravonna, Renslayer, and in that time, they have more conversations about, like, hinting towards the fact that Mobius has other versions of himself. Yeah, they do like a whole bunch of hinting on how they've done this a couple of times.
And before we were thinking that it was just like time-wise, that there was multiple versions of himself that were coming in at different periods of time, because they said that time works differently there, and I thought they were going to utilize that more. But no, apparently the TVA not only controls pretty much all of time, but they also control everyone's memories.
Yeah.
And I suppose this means that what they're implying, I believe, is that Mobius has had his mind wiped multiple times and continues his work as an analyst at the behest of Renslayer, because Mobius finds out about something, and instead of pruning him, because Renslayer is actually friends with Mobius, she just wipes his mind and puts him back to work.
Okay,
I think that's what they're going for, right?
So, actually, that is something that they could be going for. However, I have a theory that could be very easily proven wrong in the very next episode.
All right.
However, it could be right. So, in this episode, at the very end, they establish, after the credits, They established that pruning doesn't kill you. It does something else. It puts you in some either alternate dimension, other space and time. We don't actually know. We just see that Loki goes there and he ends up with other Lokis. Now, I don't know if there's a way to get out of there, but
well, there obviously is.
there has to be, right? But what if a way of getting out of there is to forget your past and just come back as a shell of your former self? Hence how they would get more variants to turn into TVA members. Again, that could easily be proven wrong, but that would establish that Mobius himself would have been pruned multiple times. And that would explain why they bother pruning people instead of just time bombing their entire place.
You see, I don't like that reveal of pruning doesn't actually kill. I'm not sure if it's just Loki, because Loki's a special boy and he gets to go somewhere else where everyone else has disappeared. Obviously, that's going to cause even more problems.
That's not it, because Mobius also got pruned in this episode.
Yeah, but we haven't seen Mobius. We've only seen Loki, who was pruned, come back. So there's two options. One, pruning doesn't work like we said. People just get launched somewhere else, which I believe is Earth, based on the buildings that were behind those Lokis at the end.
I think it's specifically an alternate dimension Earth.
Perhaps, yeah. And yeah, they could get launched to somewhere. It could be an alternate dimension.
Yeah.
It's not hell, because he mentioned that and they said no. So.
Yeah. So I don't know.
And shoot, you made me forget the other option that I wanted to say. How could you do this to me?
I'm so sorry.
Okay, it'll come back to me.
So Mobius has this scene where he's talking to Ravonna, and
oh no, what I really wanted to say. I remember now. I feel misled because they called it pruning. They specifically showed us what it did right at the beginning. They called it pruning, erasing, and everything else, and now that's a lie. They keep doing this. They keep doing this over and over again, and I know this is a way that they're trying to enhance the mystery.
Yeah.
But it's not. I'm just being lied to over and over again.
Yeah. See,
with them being variants, and then we're told by Mobius, no, that's right, and that's not right. We were just created here. Which, sure, I have no gauge about what the TVA's powers can do or not, what the Timekeepers can do or not, so that makes sense, I suppose. And then later, no, they actually can't do that. They're actually all variants, like we first suspected. And I'm just having a really hard time being able to analyze anything that's being told to me, especially information that I already have, when I've been explicitly lied to.
Every single time.
Yeah.
So here's why that's a problem. It's because they don't have enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can lie to your audience as long as you leave enough clues that you are lying to your audience. And you can't lie about everything to your audience. That would take some crazy writing to pull off.
I'm feeling like big things are being lied to.
Yeah.
I could probably forgive the everyone's a variant thing because they actually took some time to develop that and such.
Yeah.
But what I can't forgive is the pruning.
Yeah,
it'd be like if we went into a war movie and we're seeing everyone get shot, and then at the end of the movie we find out, oh no, they're not actually shooting bullets, they're not actually dead, they're actually shooting apples, and the people who are getting shot are being turned into apples, but we don't see that because all the apples are inside, and later they just burst out.
Yeah, and
what? No, that's
so the way that they could have fixed that is all they have to do is have anyone at any point in the series say something weird about pruning.
Yeah.
But they don't have enough time to fit that in. When something like that happens and you say, oh, well, we're going to prune them, and someone goes, no, you can't do that, that would be, and then they stop talking, or something along those lines, that kind of foreshadowing that pruning's not just erasing them.
Yeah, if there's something along that line,
yeah,
I would agree.
Then you would be fine. Any hint like that. But they don't have enough time in their show to
I'm starting to feel like that's not an excuse that can be given anymore, because they got to choose how much time they wanted to put into their show.
I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm saying the problem.
Yeah,
it's not an excuse.
I feel like they will use it as an excuse. They'll say, "Oh no, we only had 6 episodes. We couldn't put in all we want." And okay, then why did you have more episodes?
All right. Well, let me reestablish then. That's not an excuse, but that is why the problem is occurring.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's it's not an
That
excuse.
is why the problem is occurring, but it seems like a very easily fixable problem that I can't think of why.
I can. So the reason why is because they want all of these all of these TV shows to be high budget, but they're only willing to spend so much money on them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're unwilling to give them an 8-episode runtime if they need 8 episodes, because they don't want to spend that much money to get these guys in there, have the special effects in the high budget that they have for all of these things for 8 episodes. That's the problem.
You see, that's the thing as well that I can't fully understand, because you have all of these sets for the TVA that could be used multiple times and such, and every time they're moving so fast that they have to keep building new things to explore every time, and that's just costing more money. When you obviously could have slipped in one more episode using a lot of the old sets as well.
See, the
I mean, you
executives.
still have to pay for actors and everything,
Yeah.
but I mean, that seems negligible compared to having another week of interested viewers.
See, and I think the reason why that kind of problem happens is because they want to say, hey, you have 6 episodes, you have no budget restraints for those 6 episodes. But that's the kind of thing that they're going for. Obviously, they do have a budget restraint even then, but that's the kind of thing that they're going for, and they're not willing to give the extra 3 episodes that the show needs in order to get it to fit into the time frame
Which
that
is
it needs.
honestly a shame, because when we started with WandaVision, they had 12 episodes, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was 12.
It was definitely more than 6.
It was more than 6, but WandaVision absolutely needed it, and I don't know why it got more than the other 2, because they all need more than 6.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that because the other ones are longer than the half-hour time slot that WandaVision's filled, they're just only filling a certain amount of time, not a certain amount of episodes.
Is that what you're saying? So they have a time restraint?
Maybe.
You know, actually, that could also be true. Because definitely...
which sounds even worse.
Falcon Winter Soldier, definitely... Yeah, that is even worse. That's awful. Yeah, I can't believe that's totally true.
Of course, this is all speculation. We have no idea what's going on there. Maybe they don't have a certain time limit, nor do they have a big poster on the wall saying 4th episode, fuck it up. But
I mean, at this point, a lot of signs point to yes. So I don't know, but anyway, so Ravonna has taken Sylvie off to another place, and Mobius asks to interrogate Sylvie, and Ravonna says no. Also, by the way, at the beginning of the show, they tell us that C-20, the girl that was kidnapped in episode 2, she's dead. And no one knows.
Yeah.
Sick prone? Yeah. She's dead. She says dead.
Dead?
Yeah. So.
Well, and then they're misleading us more, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or maybe the TVA was lied to as well, which is also a lie towards us, but...
I mean, I don't actually know what you're referring to here. What's the lie?
I don't know if Renslayer, Ravonna, believes that the person who's being pruned is dead or not.
Did they prune her? They don't prune her on screen.
Well, I assume that's how they get rid of everyone.
Well,
but of course, maybe they took out a Desert Eagle and put her down out back.
I mean,
that's something that could be done, but I've never seen them get rid of someone like that. It's always been pruning.
There is one time that they get rid of someone in a different way, and that is when they stab them with the spear at the end of this episode. Because that happens.
Yeah, that's a whole nother issue in itself, but we will get to that.
Yeah, so she could actually be dead. She doesn't use the word pruning, but she could have also been pruned. I do not know. But C-20 is out of the thing, and only Mobius and Ravonna know, and Mobius just knows because Ravonna told her. Only Ravonna was there when she died.
Right.
And she says she died from like a medical accident because her mind was so screwed up. But anyway, Ravonna says, no, you cannot talk to Sylvie. Can't do it. Which he finds odd, but he ends up going back to Loki. And when they go back to Loki, he starts questioning Loki. And this is the big sit down where he asks Loki a bunch of questions. He finds out that Sylvie is that Loki likes Sylvie. And then he also finds out that Loki truly believes, that they're all variants. And this is a big deal for Mobius. Even though he tries and plays it off, and he puts Loki back in his holding cell, it's a big deal for Mobius. and Mobius wants to find out a little bit more. And I will say this: despite everything that's going on here, Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston are really good.
Yeah.
They're really good.
They
do their
really
best to
know
sell
what
the
they're
role.
doing. I really like all of the actors. I find myself a little less liking the whoever plays Renslayer, just because this whole time she's acting like confused and she doesn't know what's going on and kind of like playing it off, and it's so blatantly obvious. Like, I don't know if that's her direction and that's what
I
she
think
was
that is her
told,
direction.
or if that's just how she's trying to act low down. But
Actually, I
it
think-
just felt it got to, there were so many scenes of her doing just that with Mobius that it started to get a little grating.
I think the
'Cause-
one that I still dislike the most is B-15, but that might be just me.
That might just be you, yeah. I honestly, she's like such a flat character. I really don't have any.
They
opinion.
try to make her dynamic in this episode.
Yeah, they do. You're right.
So there's a little scene that we skipped where B-15 asked Mobius what Loki said to him, and he said that the TVA was lying to you, right? And B-15 then later on goes into the room where Sylvie's being held against the wishes of everyone else, and just takes Sylvie back to 2050 where the hurricane hits.
Yep.
And
back to that shopping mall, right?
Yeah, to the shopping mall, and basically says, "Hey, can you show me that I'm a variant, and remind my memories what
Yeah,
they
because
actually
so apparently every time that Sylvie's like fiddles with memories, it shows something about the person's past, and that's why Sylvie can control them. She can't make memories. She said that, and we're believing her for now. So, but you know, I don't know if she was lying or if she's misinformed or not, because I've been tricked before. But we have to go off the basis that she's not lying and that
Yeah.
she's not misinformed.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, I think she's telling the truth. They don't have enough time to pull another 180 on us, right?
I don't know. They do it like 5 times an episode.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go under
But
the
no,
assumption this is
no.
the final time.
No, I agree with you that they're probably not going to do that, because that would cast Sylvie in a bad light, and they're not
Yeah.
doing that.
They're not gonna do that.
So pretty much every time Sylvie's messed with someone's memories, they're, especially from the TVA, they can remember the old stuff and what's happened to them. And so when what was it? B-20, B-15,
B-15.
B-15.
Yeah.
Gosh, I hate these names
Yeah.
so much.
She puts Sylvie back. I'm not sure why.
Yeah. And she brings Sylvie back to the TVA, even though the two of them could have just left.
Yeah, and then
They could have
B-15
just walked away and nobody would have known where they were.
Yeah. And in this scene, they try to make B-15, look like emotional and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I don't think the actress can do it. But
mean,
maybe it's because it was raining. It's hard to see her face.
I don't know, they were putting her in the rain, so that means she was crying.
Yeah, that's definitely what that means. So, B-15 is not seen again until the very end of the episode. Mobius then goes back to Ravonna and starts asking questions. He tries to get a little bit more to the bottom of this, and she kind of just dodges all of them. He doesn't know why C-20's dead.
Yeah,
He doesn't know.
She's very clearly dodging them the
this,
entire time. And I was getting a little frustrated with both of them, kind of, because Ravonna's obviously being evasive,
Yeah.
and Mobius is obviously just playing along with it all.
Yeah,
And
Mobius is playing along
It
with
felt
all
like
of
the weirdest game that both of them were just continuing to play, and
Well-
it just didn't.
It felt like Mobius was trying to be politely asking the question,
Yeah.
but Ravonna was very politely saying, "I'm not going to answer the question." And so then Mobius said, "All right, then I'm going to figure it out myself." And that's why he ends up taking her device and swapping it for his own, and actually doing the research himself. I don't think Mobius was asking the question knowing that Ravonna was probably not going to give it to him, and that's why he didn't pry. I don't think that him prying would have changed the outcome.
Yeah, it was just it kept going for a little while longer when it was already kind of obvious about where everything was going. Maybe it was just because Ravonna and the acting of that specifically kind of just started to aggravate me after a while.
Fair.
It was just because it just kept going.
Yeah.
It just kept going, and I think that kind of got to me a bit.
So he ends up stealing her device because apparently it keeps files on it like a computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh wait, there's their computers. Oh, I guess they don't need to have all of these files. Why don't I have computers again?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Just what's the point of the files? What's the point of the aesthetic? What's the point of having all this high-tech stuff mixed with all this low-tech stuff just because they want to keep It's
They have
stupid.
computers. They have computers that they carry like cell phones. So why don't they have an actual computer? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. Obviously, it's to go for their aesthetic thing, but they're kind of foregoing it here to make Mobius be able to figure this out faster. So he watches a video of C20 getting interrogated, and how she's found out that she's a variant and that they're all variants, and then that's why she gets killed. And Ravana's in the video, so Ravana knows. After that, Mobius basically just goes into high gear. Again, it's a little bit rushed, and the reason why
it's for all of them, it's really rushed.
Yeah, it's
and
rushed
again,
for all of them.
Yeah, there's time, and they want to get it all done in this episode. But at the same time, I really don't think they can hide behind that excuse.
It
all
needs
the time.
space.
Yeah,
That's what really needs to happen. We need to see Mobius go through the scene, and then we need to not see Mobius for another 10 minutes of the move or of the show. That's what we're like. We don't even need another scene with Mobius in it. We just need space.
Yeah. My biggest issue with everyone's change is just because they do a 180 entirely.
Yeah.
Like, Mobius is a good example just because we spent the most time with him when we know he's thinking. That the conversation that he and Loki had in episode 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they were just talking about each other, about why Mobius is doing what he's doing, why he believes in the TVA, and it's honestly kind of a blind faith.
Yeah.
And that is, it's easy to say, but that is a lot for a character.
Yeah.
Being able to have a character to a point where they can just blindly believe in something that they don't see, they don't really know, that takes a lot.
And that's what they establish.
Mm-hmm. And the second he learns that he's been lied about, well, I guess 2 things. Lied about not being a variant, and lied specifically by Ravana, he just goes full twist, let's tear it down. He specifically says, let's tear it down,
But
right?
be fair, the variant thing is a pretty big one.
I know, I agree. These are big things. It is just really strange to see just the man who was swearing by the TVA just a few episodes ago to swap so quickly into let's tear this motherfucker down.
Yeah, I mean,
it just feels a little off, and again, it could be a timing thing, it could be a space thing.
Well,
but I
think
definitely wanted maybe like a scene of a little bit more mental anguish for this character before he decided to completely give up what thought he was working for his whole life.
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. He does kind of give up a little fast, but also at the same time, the reason why is because they don't have time. Like, the show just doesn't have time to do anything. And it really hurts this episode the most. This is the episode where you really feel it. I mean, you feel it in the other episodes because they just...
Yeah, because they don't have just one... No, they don't have just one character. Not 2 characters, but 3. If we include how quickly Renslayer switches from her, being kind of a friend to Mobius to just, right around.
Yeah, I know. The way that she talks
these characters change so fast in this episode.
Mm-hmm. And it's really frustrating when you see something that could have been good. Like, again, this is just like how WandaVision was. It could have been so good. So good. But they just don't give it the time. They don't have the people writing are just not quite there. They have these little issues that they can't get overcome, and it becomes so bad so quickly. And it's like, literally, it's like they bit off more than they can chew, both of them. Both, like, Winter Soldier has different problems, but both WandaVision and this, it's like they bit off more than they can chew. They can't do it. The people there, they just don't have the chops. They don't have the time. They can't do it. It's too much to ask with too little to give. And
WandaVision's power was that there was just, she was so powerful, and there was so much stuff that could go on with her power that they didn't have time to fully explain things, and they just kept moving the plot along.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for here. The TVA is so powerful, and there's so much stuff going on that they just don't have enough time to explain it because they gotta keep going.
Yeah, and it's like they bite off more than they can chew.
Mm-hmm.
They can't keep up, and this is the problem that these Marvel shows are having, and it frustrates me because they could have been so good.
Yeah.
Specifically, these 2 could have been super good. Like, it hurts me. I guess Winter Soldier could have been good too, but it also has issues.
Yeah, it feels like they're making world building so difficult on themselves, and I just don't know why they're doing this, because obviously they didn't have to make it this difficult.
Well, because they wanted to do something different than the comics, but be at the same place as the comics were in. That's why.
Yeah.
That's the reason. That's literally it. They're like, well, we have to get to the same place the comics are at right now. But we can't go the exact same way they went to get there because that would be the easy way. And people would say we just copied it right out of the comics. So we'll change it. And they're like, okay, we'll make the TVA up. Well, that's a great idea. Except for it's really stupid. And if we're going to do that, we need a lot of time. And they're like, nope, 6 episodes.
No, essentially 2 episodes to set up the TVA.
Yeah. I mean... Well, anyway, continuing on with the recap, the TVA, Mobius gets Loki. They get Loki out of there, and immediately when they leave, Ravonna has found out that he swapped the devices, which is pretty quick, especially since she knew exactly where he was going to be, I guess, because they ended up there and they have all the guards. And Mobius actually comes up with a clever lie that I can't believe she didn't even for a second even entertain, where he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong one." I like, seriously, what if he was telling the truth and he was just grabbing Loki to help take him to the timekeepers like he was supposed to?
Come on.
I don't know.
You know. Now
She
that
doesn't
I think,
entertain it.
You know, now that I think about it, maybe because we've already established that the TVA is really utterly incompetent.
Yeah.
So maybe that lie could have worked.
Oh, well, I mean, even without that establishment, she should have wanted that to be true. According to what we know about her character at this point, and that she's actually genuinely friends with Mobius, she didn't even entertain the idea.
I think it was a bad lie. I don't think
it wasn't a great lie in any way, shape, or form. But the fact of the matter is, she shows no remorse in this.
Yeah,
so everything we know about her character is a lie. It's the only thing that this can be.
And then Mobius gets pruned.
Yep.
He's standing there 1 second, and then the next he just boop.
Yeah, that was a horrible choice. Again, why don't they just prune Loki right here, right now?
Well, actually, they don't want to prune either of the Lokis because they want to bring them to the Timekeepers, so the Timekeepers can say to prune the Lokis.
Oh, okay. So why aren't you pruning the Lokis right now?
Well, it's because the Timekeepers want to just physically see these variants and be in the same room with them before they get pruned.
This is stupid.
Yeah, it's literally just a plot device.
Like, I don't know how many times we've asked, why haven't they just pruned them? Why don't they just throw a time bomb and get rid of them? This is a mess that they don't need to deal with. They can just remove the problem. Why don't they do it?
Yeah,
and they don't have a reason. They don't have one.
There's no explanation that they can give besides they just, for this situation specifically, but also for a lot of others, just to push the plot along. I still don't have a full explanation about why they need to process these variants and put them in front of a judge at all, when it seems like they're just going to prune them every single time.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm right on what pruning does, then they are going to prune them every single time. I guess the only other explanation is they might kill you just straight up.
Doesn't really matter.
I mean, the only reason that the judging thing would be there is to determine whether or not you would be a good TVA agent, and that would be determined on whether or not they prune you.
Maybe,
but then they just prune random people.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense either.
And then they just prune random people before they even get to the judging either. Like one person didn't get a ticket and he gets pruned and that's it.
Yeah, I can't because it's frustrating, and I want to be honest. It's episodes like this one that we just watched, which is why we made this channel. This is the reason.
Yes.
This is it. It frustrates the hell out of me that Marvel does this when they clearly have good ideas and they can do good things and they've done good things in the past, but they just throw it away because they are unwilling to make the necessary things to get the show to look as good as it can be.
They
sacrifice too much.
They just want shock and awe. I think that's it. That's all they really want. They want these situations to pop up that make people go, wow, that's cool, that's interesting, and keep watching. And they keep posing questions, no matter how bad the question is or how bad the inevitable answer is going to be.
Yeah.
They just keep going because they think that the only way to keep people entertained is not actually good content, it's flashy content.
I think that just a conspiracy theory over here. The reason why that this is the case is because their old Marvel shows, the ones that premiered on Netflix, were all long, drawn out, and they eventually all lost their following. Daredevil was the one that held the following for the longest, but after the second season,
Well, that wasn't a fault for the long formatting. I'm sure that, upper management and people like that don't understand that quality is actually a thing that can affect people's viewership. But that was why those shows ended up failing in the long run, because they just lost a lot of quality.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it's so disappointing that this is their alternative.
Yeah, that their alternative is just, I don't know, sugar, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess that'd be a good comparison, and it's a comparison that's used a lot. Like, good art should be like a meal. There should be something that's substantive inside, and it shouldn't just be sugar. It shouldn't just be something that you get, like, addicted to, right?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. That's a good comparison because it is a lot like sugar as comparison to like a really good, long-lasting, good-for-you meal, right? It's very much like that. The only thing is they got the change because they were giving us really bad, long-lasting meals.
Yeah.
Kind of like CW shows are nowadays.
Well, and maybe that's why we've soured so much on Marvel, because at the very least we were used to getting like a better meal, I suppose, with Marvel movies and the Marvel universe and all. That we were starting to get like better stuff, some deeper content, staying a long time with characters so we could see them develop and we could actually start to really think and get to know these characters.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man is one of the best characters.
Yeah.
Just at all.
And then now, compared to everything in the past that we've watched, it just feels hollow and sugary. It's just bright lights and fast movements and go, go, go.
It's like they're
scene.
They're trying to get back to, Endgame times.
Yeah.
And they're never, they can't.
I think that's all they want to do. I think all they want to do is just make mini Endgames over and over again.
Yeah, but you can't make a mini Endgame. That's what made Endgame so good.
Tell them that.
They're never going to.
You see, because again, they don't see it as that. They just see it as, like, they see Endgame as a singular thing that can be pasted and copied over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that was one of my biggest problems with Endgame, because already I was, like, this is going on a big side tangent.
That's okay.
One of my biggest problems with Endgame itself was because I could really start to tell that it was getting into that sugary thing more and more.
Yeah.
And that's what made me despise it, I'll say. I'll use that strong language even more than, like, if it was just normally, like, a kind of okay movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's because this was going to be the symbol for everything going forward in the future.
Yeah, I mean...
And I think that really, really soured it for me.
I'll say this, we will
I know your opinion on Endgame is completely different.
Yeah, I think that it didn't fall apart fast enough. But we will have a review on Endgame, because we both have very differing opinions on that movie. So we will at least make one on that one. Can't say for anything else, but for that movie, we will.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
continuing on, we were with Mobius getting pruned.
Yes, and Mobius got pruned, and immediately Loki and Sylvie are taken up to the Timekeepers.
Yep, just right up into that golden elevator that apparently anyone can just walk through at any time.
Anyone at any time. Before this, while they grabbed Sylvie, they realized B-15 was gone rogue, and they put out a hit for her, essentially. So they go up the elevator, and they go say hi to the Timekeepers. Yay! There's 4 guards up there, and the Timekeepers are sitting up there like they have nothing better to do but just sit and look at everything.
Yeah, I honestly thought that if we were actually going to see the Timekeepers at all, they were going to be, working or whatever, instead of just sitting around like every big space alien that they have in Marvel does.
Yeah, I mean, they said that they were incredibly busy, yet they have time to sit on chairs and wait for Loki and Sylvie to show up here.
Yeah, and, this also kind of made us wonder, or at least it made me wonder personally, like, are they actually going to be doing anything with these Timekeepers at all? But no.
Clearly they're not.
The end of the scene pretty much shows that they're not.
So they put them in front of them, and they're like, all right, guys, now we put you in front of the Timekeepers, so now what? Oh, wait, actually, before this, While in the elevator, Sylvie asks a really stupid question. Yeah.
So as we know, Renslayer was the one that actually took Sylvie away from her timeline from that entire thing, and Sylvie asks, "Why?" Essentially,
Yeah,
why
why?
did you do it?
Yeah, and
And because of what Sylvie knows about the TVA, that seems like the stupidest question possible. Because the TVA doesn't distinguish between these
Right or
lines at
wrong.
all,
Yeah.
or right or wrong. It's just what is following the sacred timeline.
Yeah.
Therefore, that question is easily, it's just my job.
Yeah.
And it's nothing personal.
Yeah, literally, that should be her answer. But Ravana takes it a step further. She sits there, and she says, "I don't know."
No, even better, I don't remember.
Yeah, you're right. I don't remember. That's right. That's exactly. That is bullshit. I can't believe they did this. This is so ridiculously stupid because this is the exact same answer.
Like, there was already a very clear answer set up that
Yeah.
you could, like, at least make Renslayer seem like
she's
not just a sack of crap.
Yeah, like this answer is so bullshit. It's the same answer the SAO gives, and I can't. It's the dumbest thing then because they're
Absolutely,
like, "Why
yeah.
did you do this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's been so long, I don't remember." Like, that's not an answer that you give for your final villain in the final moment.
Any answer would have been better than I don't remember.
Yeah,
like just even if it's a nothing personal kid.
Yeah,
it's just business kind of answer.
So Sylvie
That's
has-
understandable, but not this.
I don't understand why they asked the question. Sylvie asked this question and it's completely unnecessary, and Ravana gives the dumbest answer possible. I don't understand why this is in the show.
And I guess this was like the best scene that they could have between the two right before they fight or whatever.
Yeah,
Because the
I
next
guess.
scene between the two of them, and apparently because they have this history, they need more scenes together. Which
Yeah.
I agree with that.
but they don't do a very good job doing that.
But yeah, it's pretty much this elevator scene where Sylvie asks this dumb question, and then they're fighting the rest of the time.
Yeah, so when they get put in front of the timekeepers, this is where the timekeepers go, "Hey, I'm glad you put them in front of us, but kill them, or
Yeah.
prune them." I think is exactly what they say. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah,
And
just
I'm like,
get rid of them, whatever.
well, why'd you bring them up? Why didn't you just prune them before you got here? What? Why?
Why didn't you just leave them on that planet to die?
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, again, leaving them on the planet to die because their love breaks the universe. They had to get rid of that.
Yeah, that
I
still
it's-
doesn't give me
it's-
any answer because the whole idea that they set up before is that A, you can do whatever you want in apocalypses because everything's going to be destroyed and nothing matters.
Mhm.
B, love rules all, I guess. I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
don't
it.
know.
There's no
It's
way
just-
they can work their way around that.
I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how them doing anything there, unless they got off the rock and saved everyone on the rock somehow mysteriously. I don't see how anything there would have caused a variant in the timeline.
Yeah, it's
I
just
just don't see it.
it's absurd.
Their established rules, they can't. I don't.
Again, this feels like another situation of the thing just lying to me.
Yeah, I
Because they set me this rule and it said, oh yes, apocalypses exist, but you can do stuff there without causing any Nexus events because everything's going to be destroyed. But apparently that doesn't work either.
It's a Deus Ex Machina, just straight up. There's just nothing. That is a Deus Ex Machina. Nothing else. Like that is as bad as it gets. Because the only reason they're saved is because of some bullshit thing that was pulled out of thin air 10 seconds into this first
Like
episode.
we knew it was going to happen because there was no other choice.
Yeah.
They'd written themselves and those characters into a Deus Ex Machina. Something had to come up. It had to be the TVA popping in, or it had to be Rocket Raccoon in a starship that just swings by and picks them both up.
That would have been better.
Oh my god, that would have happened. I don't know how I would have reacted.
It would have been better.
Because it would have been so utterly random. I think I would have just had to stop everything.
I would have died of laughter.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I
just
wouldn't be here to
literally,
make this review.
they had to have a Deus Ex Machina because nothing else can pull them out of that scenario.
Yeah, it is dumb. Alright, so they pull him up, they say, oh, we're gonna kill him. Great job, guys. And then they all start fighting. Oh, actually, the reason why they start fighting is because right before they get to killing him, because of course it's right before that, B-15 comes out of the elevator out of nowhere. Somehow she's able to just go up the elevator, so everyone can do that.
Yeah, again, anyone could just go up to this elevator apparently.
Yeah, and just ride. Everyone knows that it leads to the timekeepers.
Yeah.
Apparently,
they just don't
They
go.
just don't go. So she comes up. She has a key, which is a remote, and she just unlocks both of them with the key.
Yep, just one button just unlocks them both, and then everyone just starts fighting.
And she gets destroyed.
But yeah, you see, the interesting thing about this fight is apparently those go away sticks that the TVA have that can just eradicate everyone on one end.
The death sticks.
Yes, the fun thing is the other end of the stick is just a sharp spike, and instead of using the "I'm gonna instant kill you" side of the death stick, they use the pokey side of the stick.
Sometimes.
And and just fight each other that way. Everyone is, even the Lokis when they get their own weapons, are just fighting with the other end of the stick. At least Sylvie is. I'm not sure if Loki has some knives yet.
Loki has knives, I think, in this scene, maybe.
I'm not sure where he got them, but oh well. Yeah,
remember.
they just do that. Renslayer and Sylvie fight the exact same way. They don't use the pruning side at all. They just keep using the sharp end.
They use both. That's the weird thing. Like, they just keep going at it, and it's like, okay, but why did they not just have double pruning? Is it because if they accidentally touch that side while it's on to like the ground, and they are staffs, so they could hit the ground, would it prune the freaking ground that they're standing on? I guess.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe
I've only seen it used against individuals. So.
Yeah, so maybe that's why. But I think it's completely and utterly ridiculous that they don't have double pruning.
Yeah. No, I would be even fine if with them having that pokey end there, just in case or whatever. But again, in this situation, there's no need for them to use anything but the instant win.
No, I mean
one touch and it's an instant win.
Yeah, I don't know why they rely so heavily on the spear side, because people do get stabbed in this scene, which is weird for me because honestly the pruning is way more PG than they stab people in this scene. I don't know why they. It seems unnecessary to me, but maybe
it's because they had mostly main characters too. I mean, sure they had some guards, but they also had Renslayer and they also had the two Lokis. And they didn't want people using the prune side because they're just going to have to make the Lokis way too good at fighting to avoid that.
But no one got hit and survived. Not a single person.
Yeah, well, that's the only answer I can give. That because there were like enough important characters in the scene, they couldn't use the nukes that they had on one side of their stick, so they used the spooky bit.
I want to say B-15 gets put out of commission in this fight, but we do not see her get stabbed or pruned, so she's probably still alive.
Yeah, she just falls to the ground, never pops up again.
Yeah,
not for this episode.
Yeah, she's probably still alive.
And actually, that's funny because Renslayer is brought to the ground too.
Yeah.
But she pops up at the end and erases Loki.
Yeah, right as he confesses his love to Sylvie.
And he's like, she grabs he grabs her shoulders and just like, oh my gosh. Are they finally gonna have their kiss or whatever? And oh my gosh.
No, because that's where the series is gonna end. Is their kiss.
I'm going to cry inside. No, I'm gonna cry externally. just no more inside.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, but between all of that fighting, we forgot the most important thing.
Oh.
Sylvie actually decapitates one of the timekeepers, and we find out that according to Sylvie, they're androids.
Yeah, which is actually stupid because they're definitely not androids.
They're
probably robots.
They're definitely robots. And we already had guessed that the timekeepers either weren't real or their powers or whatever were definitely misconstrued. I was really, really hoping that they were just either not real, which they are, but
I was kind of hoping it was an illusion.
I was kind of hoping it was an illusion too of some kind, but I have no idea where they could be going with this now. I mean, is Renslayer Ravana in charge of everything at this point? Because she's the only authority that we know, unless someone's working above her.
Probably.
And she has to know the true nature of the timekeepers.
The person in charge is to be the person controlling the timekeepers, right? They're robots, or were they actually just androids? But how do you have a mindless android? You don't know. That's what she calls them.
Yeah.
She's a robot.
And then, at the same time, even if they are androids, what's the point of hiding that they're robots, though?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you can say really supremely powerful ancient beings or really supremely powerful ancient robots.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I guess you're getting the same outcome.
Yeah, I mean they're the same, right? They're supremely powerful, but whatever. So they're clearly they're figureheads, like we thought the entire time. This is the one thing that we've predicted correctly throughout this entire show.
Yeah, they made it so blatantly clear though.
Yeah.
So I was just hoping that it would get revealed in a slightly better way.
Yeah.
I don't know. This felt
cheap. Yeah.
I really would have been nice if it was just an illusion, or even better, just like an empty room, and we could get right to what's actually going on instead of just being dragged by the hook even longer.
The Wizard of Oz did this better.
Yeah. I thought they were literally just going to do a straight up Wizard of Oz thing, like somebody right at the end of the episode comes out slow clapping the entire time, and we find out it's Loki with a mustache.
Yeah, dude. Tom Hiddleston with the goatee comes out, on board.
Just evil Loki,
yeah,
full on.
So on board. But that's not what happens.
No.
All right, so
nope, they're saving that for episode 5.
Sylvie beats Ravonna in a one-on-one fight, and she doesn't prune her.
Doesn't kill her because Sylvie wants answers, which, fine. I want answers too, even if it means you're not killing her, which you probably rightfully should be killed at this point.
And then we go to the end credit scene, which is, we already kind of explained, Loki's not dead, even though he got pruned.
Yeah, it shows Loki's still alive, even though he's been very clearly pruned. It brings into question pretty much everything we know, because even the most basic rules that we've been taught is that pruning means you go poof isn't true.
Yeah. And so, pretty much last thing is Loki sees more Lokis that have been pruned. An alligator, a kid, an old dude in the old costume, and a really big guy with like a Thor hammer.
Yeah.
So
I honestly thought it was a different time before Thor first, before I looked closer and you saw that he's wearing green and everything.
So I mean, like, that's where the show ends. Yay!
And look,
woohoo!
I know they were setting up the multiverse in some way, but this seems like not the best way to introduce that there's something wider out there. Like, I know they wanted to have all of their Lokis, even their alligator Loki, for no reason. But I just feel sad.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what the multiverse kind of thing means. I understand there's like a raccoon Deadpool and all sorts of stupid stuff. But, like, why? Why is this how this starts?
Yeah.
This
honestly
feels wrong.
Honestly, every other time there's like multiverse introduced or whatever, they introduce one.
Yeah.
They introduce one other multiverse that occurred.
I guess they kind of did, but they didn't do it for long enough.
Which one was that? It was just Sylvie? Yeah, it was just one character. I'm talking about a world in general that we can actually like see some effects, see some visible differences, and then things just kind of expand from there.
Way better way of doing it.
I mean, into the multiverse.
Yes.
We got to see Miles' world, and we got to see more into that, which was pretty close to our world,
yeah.
except it's Miles, and the original Spider-Man died there.
Yeah.
And we already know the other Spider-Man that gets shown, that gets brought in.
Literally meant to be Tobey Maguire.
Yes, it is. It's definitely that. So we already know that. So we don't have to even see the other world, because that's the other one. And then you can bring in all the other characters, and I have no questions about them, because even their motifs and what their world is incredibly clear.
Yeah.
One of them's from the future and all Japanesey. One of them's a pig. One of them's noir.
Yeah, it works. That movie's amazing.
Works.
Yeah, we should do one of those, because I like that movie too.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I would love to be able to watch a good Marvel property.
I don't think like the Marvel Studios made that. I'm sure
someone else did. Yeah, that's even better.
So like, I don't know. This show has a whole lot of problems, and episode 5 is just gonna be just a nightmare. It's just, I don't know what they're gonna do in it.
Well, obviously they're just gonna sit around and expand even more, and probably bring into question every single rule that we've been taught before.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what could happen.
So, a few things that I want to say, we kind of glossed over. C20, what she was saying it was real for was that her memory of being from a variant, was real. That's what she was saying. And I think the other thing is, why of all people would you have Liv be 15 and not Mobius? Again, maybe B-15's dead,
I
but I doubt that.
I
We've seen
think-
that.
I think they just wanted that scene of Mobius dying
I think the
because
reason
that would
why-
have been more impactful, and we already know that Marvel has a pattern of killing off characters and then bringing them back.
Yeah, they do. And also, I'm telling you right now, Mobius isn't dead.
Obviously not.
Obviously not. He's
No,
pruned.
I can't believe that anyone who's pruned is dead.
And the reason why is because they want B-15 and Sylvie to work together, and they want Mobius and Loki to work together because they want to work on that friendship. That they
Has to be it, I suppose.
Yeah, so
or not.
that's why Mobius gets pruned right away. That's what they're thinking. I don't know. This show pissed me off. I gotta go cool my head a little bit.
I think we both should go cool our heads. Is there anything else we need to say?
No, not really. See you guys next time.
See you next time.